executive decision and start. Is my microphone on? All right. Pardon me? We don't have a timer. Could we go rescue the timer and let somebody else deal with whatever? Yeah, just whatever is going on out there. And we're ready. Good evening and welcome. My name is Barbara Wardenberg. I'm the moderator for tonight's Candidates Forum, brought to you by the League of Women Voters of Los Altos Mountain View area. The League of Women Voters is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization which promotes the informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League neither supports nor opposes any candidate running for public office. Candidate forums are one way in which the League helps voters become informed about elections. Additional nonpartisan information on all candidates and measures on your June 3rd ballot is available on the League's Smart Voter website. Information about Smart Voter is on the table outside the door. You'll also find campaign literature from the candidates there. 4 persons wish to be the Democratic candidate for the 22nd State Assembly District. The one who receives the most votes on June 3rd will be on the ballot in November as the Democratic candidate. One person is running unopposed for the Republican nomination for that seat and will automatically be on the ballot in November. Voters who are not members of a political party may request a Democratic or Republican Party ballot. If you have questions about what type of ballot you may vote, please see a League member after this forum. The format for this forum is 3-minute opening statement from each candidate. The speaking order has been chosen by lot. A timekeeper will signal when 1 minute is up, when 30 seconds remain, when 10 seconds remain, and when time is up. There will be written questions from the audience. Our question gatherers, can you raise your hands, will distribute and pick up cards. Raise your hand to have your card picked up. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. The speaking order will rotate. We will present as many questions as we have time. We will then conclude with a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate. The timekeeper will signal the time at 30 seconds remaining and when time has expired. The candidates are Dominic Caserta, Paul Fong, Anna Song, and Chris Wang. We will hear first the opening statement from the 3 candidates who are in attendance, and then the statement from Ms. Wang, who is unable to attend tonight, will be read. And the first candidate's opening statement is from Ms. Song.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here to meet you and to speak with you. I'm Anna Song. I'm a trustee for Santa Clara County Board of Education. This is my 8th year serving as a trustee on that board. And I have to say it's been a great honor for a person who was born in Seoul, Korea many years ago and came to this country, learned English and learned my way through civics process to become a citizen, to represent you and our residents in our county was a great honor and privilege. Along the way, I learned that there are right way to vote and there are correct way to vote on a particular subject. Sometimes it's governed by the law, and other times it's law and the human story behind it. And it was eye-opening to see that whatever we vote on, it makes a direct impact on people's lives, especially on our students and our parents. And that's what really empowered me through the last 8 years. And I like to take that experience to Sacramento and asking and advocating for mostly for our kids. I have 2 young kids that are 6-year-olds and 1-year-old. And I often think about their future, what the valley would be like for them in 20 years. And every decision that I make, everything that I think about would be thinking about their future and possibly making this valley their home, be able to afford to buy a home in this valley, be able to find and retain jobs in this valley. And those are the kind of things that I will be advocating and thinking about in Sacramento. I want to also make my priority an education. As you may have all heard, that this is a budget crisis year, and our governor declared that this year would be the year of education, but it also happens to be the year that the education is hit the hardest. And also the special education for the most needy children in our state will be harmed by the budget crisis. So I like to bring that concern and with me to Sacramento, with in mind what I've seen at the county level of all the students that we served. Thank you for this opportunity to meet you, and I look forward to meeting more of you tonight.
I'd like to thank the Palo Alto, Los Altos, and Mountain View League for having us tonight, and I would like to thank Ann and Paul for being here. I think we have 4 great candidates to choose from. My name is Dominic Caserta. My family has lived in Santa Clara County for 5 generations since 1881. I'm in my 11th year of teaching high school at Santa Clara High School, where I teach civics and economics. And I'm in my 2nd term and 6th year on the Santa Clara City Council. And you know, rhetoric is rhetoric, but I think our values must be manifested in the actions that we take. And as public officials, our actions are public record. I humbly submit to you my record on the Santa Clara City Council. We have the lowest utility rates of any city in California. We have the best rated roads of the entire 105 Bay Area cities. Yes, there's not one pothole in Santa Clara. We're actually, 2 weeks ago, only one of 2 cities in the nation to receive a Green Power Community Award for our Silicon Valley Green Power program. And even in this economic downturn, we've had 75 business expansions the last 2 years in Santa Clara. And I'm proud to be a small part of that. And I'm proud of my record. And I know all of you will look at that tonight and our records. But more importantly, the reason why I am so excited to be here tonight is I think the hallmark of a representative democracy is responding to the needs of the community. I know a lot of you receiving my literature lately. I'm having 7 coffee chats in Mountain View between now and June 3rd, and we've had 5 of them already. And what I've wanted to do from day 1 in this campaign is to restore responsiveness to government as we've done in Santa Clara. That's why Saturday on Mercy Street, I spent an hour and a half talking to neighbors in the old quad of Mountain View. That's why next week I'll be doing that in the West Cuesta area, because I believe leadership is listening. And I want to tell you my vision in Sacramento. The genesis of my campaign is my work in the classroom. Only 25% of our students that enter California high schools graduate college. Only 1 out of 4. We need to reinvest in career tech education because our kids have skills that aren't necessarily going to be teachers or lawyers. I know some of you read my op-ed piece a few weeks ago about why aren't we teaching clean, green jobs in our classroom like solar panel installation that's been very successful here in Mountain View. Secondly, I want to be a Democrat for Silicon Valley, which means talking about job creation and job retention. 10 different tech firms like Apple Computer and Microsoft have endorsed my candidacy, including every chamber of commerce that is endorsed in this race. Third of all, I want to make sure that insurance companies that are making record profits are not dropping people for pre-existing conditions. One of the reasons I've been unanimously endorsed by the California Nurses Association and California Teachers Association. And lastly, food safety. We need labeling to make sure the food that we have and eat are labeled and we know where it's coming from, as we see with the mushroom crisis last weekend. I humbly submit to you my record and my vision for California, and I look forward to your questions this evening. Thank you for being here and taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this together. I've been involved with this community for over 35 years. I'm a flower grower. I grew up as a flower grower, third-generation flower grower in Sunnyvale, which the property backs up to Mountain View on North Mary Avenue and Central Expressway. I expanded into a retail florist about 30 years ago, and from that place I build community empowerment. I'm running to promote education, protect the environment, and to fight for working families. I'm an elected trustee with the Foothill De Anza Community College District. I've been in that position for 14.5 years. I'm also a professor of political science. I've been teaching for 27 years. To promote education, I'd like to fund education, fully fund education. Prop 98 should be a floor, not a ceiling in per pupil funding. We're near the bottom in per pupil funding for education. Also, I'd like to support workforce training and retraining programs because people change careers 7 or 8 times throughout their lifetime, and we need to accommodate those changes. And also, career technical education is something I support because when you graduate from high school, you need to have a trade and a job ready for them. And also, I would like to close the achievement gap in our educational system. To protect the environment, I support AB 32, which is to lower the greenhouse gas emissions back to 1990 levels by the year 2020. And I support green and clean technologies to reach those goals. We need to look for alternative fuels instead of using the fossil fuels from the ground. To fight for working families, there are 7 million Californians without health insurance. I support a universal health care policy, the Sheila Kuehl SB 840 bill, the single payer bill, I support that. And also, I'm an affordable housing developer with community housing developers. I support affordable housing as well. I'm proud to have the endorsements of Congress members Mike Honda, Zoe Lofgren, Anna Eshoo, as well as the current incumbent in the seat, Sally Lieber. Assemblymember Sally Lieber has endorsed me, as well as the California Democratic Party, the Sierra Club, and the California Federation of Teachers. I'd be honored to have your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and now we'll move on to our question time. Oh, I'm sorry.
The fourth candidate who's running, Chris Wang, was not able to attend tonight, and our rules allow a candidate to provide a statement that will be read by a league member, and I will read her statement. This is a statement from Chris Wang. Due to services required of me on Cupertino City Council, I am unable to attend today, but I want to thank Mountain View for hosting this event and the League of Women Voters for presenting this statement on my behalf. To give you a quick idea of my background, I was born into a poor family in Taiwan as the 5th of 6 children. About 30 years ago, I came to the U.S. with little more than $300 in my pocket. I settled in San Jose, where I worked during the day and attended classes in computer science and business management in the evening. With knowledge in computer science and my MBA in hand, I have worked for such high-tech firms as Hewlett-Packard, IBM, and Sun Microsystems. About 10 years ago, I began serving the city of Cupertino as Parks and Recreation Commissioner, which has since evolved into Santa Clara County Parks and Recreation Commissioner, Cupertino Councilwoman, and last year as Mayor of Cupertino. Today, I am a proud resident in the Valley for 30 years and a mother of 2. I am running for state assembly because I feel I can bring a fresh perspective to Sacramento, where my background as mayor, immigrant, computer engineer, entrepreneur, and longtime resident will help vocalize our interests in the Valley. In my tenure, I will focus on fighting for education funding, green development, and high-tech business growth and innovation. I will seek long-term solutions rather than patch-hole ones we have seen our representatives resort to currently. In education, I will fight for resources and ensure our entire district has access to high-quality education. I believe smaller classrooms, diverse curriculum, and more support for our faculty will be important for our students to become committed, engaged, and ready to meet the demands of life after school. The Valley is the premier destination for high technology, entrepreneurial talent, and venture capital. I believe future success for the Valley lies in our continued ability to attract business investment and intellectual capital to our businesses and startups. I will support tax incentives towards green development and reach across borders to bring in investment into the area. In sustainable energy and environment protection, I will continue what I have done in Cupertino as Councilwoman and Parks and Recreation Commissioner. I will seek ways to lower our dependence on oil-dominated energy and create incentives for our student engineers to seek a career path in green technology. I will fight to preserve our parks and combat carbon emissions to lower pollution. To close, I'd like to quote a passage from a letter I received not too long ago from the CCC, a local Cupertino grassroots organization. CCC is proud to endorse Cupertino Mayor Chris Wang in the upcoming election for State Assembly. Our organization has worked with Chris Wang as councilwoman and as mayor to promote environmentally friendly business growth, strengthen our schools, and assure fiscal responsibility. We believe she is the most qualified candidate to represent our valley and our communities in the State Assembly. CCC has worked with Chris Wang for a number of years to keep our community strong by protecting our schools and communities from overdevelopment. We have noted that Mayor Wang is especially careful and thoughtful in actually reading financial reports and considering the benefit and impact of proposed projects. She is a true public servant with no ties to special interests. We are proud of Chris Wang's many achievements as mayor of Cupertino and as councilwoman. We know that Chris Wang genuinely listens to people, is not afraid to tackle tough issues, and works hard to do what is right for the general public. CCC endorses Chris Wang as candidate for State Assembly District 22.
Okay, and the questions. The first question is about aerial spraying. What is your opinion on aerial spraying of the LBAM, light brown apple moth, and the safety issues of that spraying? And we will start with Mr. Fong.
I grew up in the flower growing business, and we used to... Thank you. I grew up in the flower growing business, and we used to spray DDT and all the malathion and all that stuff out in the air, and it's really bad for the health. And so I'm against aerial spraying. We need to find some other way of eradicating the pests. So I'm against aerial spraying.
And the second responder will be Mr. Caserta.
Thank you for the question. The light brown apple moth has really penetrated San Francisco and Santa Cruz County specifically, and there's been over 460 reports of respiratory distress possibly correlated to this issue. I strongly disagree with my opponent on his comment, Paul, about this. Spraying has a place as long as there is correlation between that. However, on this issue, a study was released last week from a team of state scientists that saw no correlation between these respiratory distresses. So accordingly, I would support the spraying if it was seen as distressing the problems that have been reported. However, in this specific study, which was comprised of many different scientists from many different disciplines, they said that the spraying basically caused no problems here. As a result, the spraying is okay. And you know, as a legislator myself and as a teacher myself, I want to make decisions not just based on feel-good ideas or campaign promises from donors, but basically from research and from scientific data. And the scientific data that I've researched here says that the spraying is very healthy, and I would support that.
Ms. Song?
Growing up in South Korea, I've personally experienced what it's like to be sprayed on the streets or through the air venues. So my gut feeling is that I couldn't go for that. But if there is a scientific study, like Dominic says, and that would ensure that it would be okay to put my son, who's 6-year-old, near it and he would not be harmed, then we would also have to do something to protect our environment. So I would agree with Dominic that it would have to be backed by a very solid study, but my standard would be, would this be safe for my sons?
Thank you, and we should continue on that theme with health care. This is a two-part question. Should the state be involved in providing health care? For whom? And how would the state pay for that? The second part is, would you support Sheila Kuhl's efforts to foster health care for all? And we will start with Mr. Caserta.
I really appreciate that question. We have 7.2 Californians, 7.2 million Californians without health care, and 1.1 million of them are children. That number is unacceptable to me. The state last year said it was a year of health care. Nothing got done. We have more children and Californians without health care. We need a comprehensive approach, and my idea is the reason why I'm solely endorsed by the most important organization when it comes to health care, the California Nurses Association. I absolutely would support SB 840 by Senator Kuehl, a teacher herself. But here's the bottom line. The governor's vetoed it twice, and he's in there for 2 more years. So until we elect a Democratic governor, it will continue to be vetoed. So what do we do in the interim? We need to use technology to lower the largest cost of healthcare, which is administrative costs. I'm the only candidate on my website talking about electronic health. Kaiser has done it, and they've saved over $2 billion the last 5 years in administrative costs.
Excuse
so
me,
there is a way.
Would you also address the part that says, how would the state pay for that?
Well, as I said before, I would encourage electronic health records to lower costs specifically to do that. By doing that, administrative costs, which is the largest part, would be saved by up to 33%, as Kaiser has done. By saving money there, you're putting more money in providers to provide more health care. That's how I would pay for that. Thank you for your clarification. Thank you for the question.
And the next person is Ms. Song.
Yes, I would support Senator Sheila Kuehl's bill, but also, as Dominic has stated, I would also vote for other bills that would support to move us forward in providing anything. I think our Californians deserve better. I think our children in our state deserve better. And therefore, I would not just because they're stuck in the argument between which plan is better, I would not get caught in the partisan fight. I would vote for something as opposed to nothing. Having said that, I also want to mention that having served on the Santa Clara County Board of Education, I've seen lots of children who are in Head Start program who also has Medi-Cal. And by being in that Head Start program, they're mandated every year to be examined by a doctor. And many students have Medi-Cal, and oftentimes they have trouble finding doctors because our state-funded Medi-Cal offers such a lower rate. And I think we need to also take care of our poor of our state. And if we are going to offer something, I think we should offer a way to provide find doctors and dentists.
Payment for this?
I think it's obvious we have to increase revenue, and I have been said many times that I'm all in support of doing something like a Robin Hood tax, which is $500,000 above annual income. The richest of the state should pay higher tax.
And Mr. Fong?
Yes, I support Sheila Kuehl's SB 840 bill, single-payer health. It'll save $39 billion in administrative costs over the next 10 years, and it'll save about $300 to $500 per insurance policy per person. And they get to choose the policy as well. And so I think it's an excellent, affordable policy. Employers have to contribute 8% into it. Employees have to contribute 3%. And it'll save $39 billion over the course of 10 years. And through the savings, the 30% savings will come from the health insurance company's administration. And that's how the state will pay for some of it. They will be a single payer administration. And also I'd like to increase revenues as well. I'd like to go after the $6.5 million of uncollected personal and corporate taxes, the $2 billion in sales and use tax, and stop.
Thank you.